Today, it's all about the Open Acrylics. Yay, we get to try Open Acrylics. I'm just gonna narrate for you because when I was editing this, I was talking so slow and it was getting really annoying, so I'm just gonna tell you what all's going on. I got some Open Thinner because I thought I might need it, which is laughable as you'll see, but that's what that is all about. And then I also had some acrylic mediums that I thought I might need to mix into the paint. When I started painting, the first thing I noticed was that the brush strokes did not go very far, so I decided to add some thinner to maybe stretch out that paint. I was really enjoying how relaxing this was because usually with acrylic there's this pressure to paint really fast, but I was able to just take my time and plan it out a little more because these are open, they're not gonna dry right away. I did notice that there was a scent about the paints. It wasn't perfumey, it wasn't headache inducing, but as I put it, it's like acrylic with a little bit of stank. Oh, and then it started doing that thing I really don't like where on the edges of the paint strokes, it started to have these ridges of paint, which I will show you later in detail. You'll be able to see it when I do the background, but already that was starting to bother me. As I started to use this dark blue, I was realizing just how transparent these paints are. They're incredibly transparent. I did really like the way they blended. That was nice, something I'm not used to with acrylics. These paints are just really thin. There's not a lot of pigment, and that was starting to bother me. As I started going over the same area to try to make up for the transparency, it just wasn't working. It was just a lot of layers that were kind of muddling together. I decided to break out a gel medium to try to maybe thicken the paint to help with this. So I mixed some of that in. And I was attempting to do the background, and this is really where it all started to fall apart. That's that thing I was talking about where it's having those ridges on the edges. I really don't like that. I'm noticing that the white is so transparent and I'm trying to lay down an opaque background. So I decided to maybe try some heavy body white. I don't know why I just can't seem to find any white paint in this house. First with the water mixable oils and now with this. So I had to just push ahead with the Open Acrylics. So I added some gel to the white and it started this really weird reaction and it started getting gritty like it had sand in it. You can see how grainy it looks over here. Like lumps and bumps. Part of me is wondering because this jar is old. So part of me is wondering if it's just expired or if it's because I had other medium mixed in and then I added this medium as well, if it's some kind of reaction. It was a little annoying because I liked the thickness that the gel added, but it was having this weird chemical reaction. But I just wanted to finish this, you know, so I kept pushing forward. It's like sand grains. I'm wondering if that's expired. Even though things weren't going well, I was still really enjoying the fact that the paint wasn't drying quickly. I could still blend, it was still workable. So that was pretty cool. The open part of Open Acrylics was holding true. It looks like when you've had skin on your painting and then it gets sucked in. Boy, it does make it thick and nice though. Okay, I'm editing this. I've rewatched this part so many times trying to figure out what in the world I'm talking about. What I was trying to say is sometimes when you're painting, the paint gets a skin on it and then that gets on your brush and then that can get into the painting. But boy, I spent some time trying to decode that sentence. I'm not really sure what I was doing there. I started adding the bottom half of the background. I didn't really like the way it was going, so I decided to change the color. And I was able to paint over it, so the paint was a little tacky. I just had to be careful. After I started to add some details, things were coming together and starting to look pretty nice. Pros and cons. We'll start with the things I didn't like and then end on a positive note. Without white, they are so transparent, which isn't my style. I don't like having to go back over things. So that's unfortunate. And then, gosh, this is not gonna work. It's so lumpy. And they're pretty thin, which is great sometimes and not great for other times. So I'd rather have a heavier body and be able to thin it down because thickening it with this paste, I don't know if it's the paste was expired or if it actually does this, or it's just reacting with whatever's in the Open Acrylics. Lumpy disaster. It looks okay. Like if you're careful and you do certain techniques, it looks all right. I don't hate it. I wouldn't say these won't work. What I really did like about these was the slow drying time. They were great for blending. If you do transparent art, I think they'll be wonderful, right up your alley. It's just if you're looking for something a little more opaque, these may not be the paints for you, but this turned out nice. I like it. Kaboom! We got our open acrylics. Now, if you remember the last time, my main complaint was that these were too transparent to the point that to me they were unusable, and I thought maybe if I mix in some heavy body white that will solve it. The problem is the more non-open formula you mix in, the less open it's going to be, the faster it's going to dry. So my question is going to be, is this really worth it? Is it worth it to get open if you need more opacity? Because you're just going to be adding in points that take away the whole point of it being open. Or is it just going to be way easier and cheaper to use paint retarder if you want that longer working time? All this and more answered right now. I did avocados in digital, I did them in oil, and I want to do them in acrylic now. Here's the reference photo I'm going to use. Here is the first acrylic one that we did. I'll put that there, and then the oil, just to inspire us and remind us that we can do things. We are ready to go. I'm in a little bit of a hurry because I'm only giving myself 50 minutes to do this, so let's do this. Let's see if it works with some other acrylic colors. All right, so this is the titanium white acrylic heavy body. That's what we're gonna be mixing in and see if it makes any difference. I'm having to remind myself that this isn't dry, so I have to very carefully lay the paint down. Ooh boy, oh, what a mess. The sketch underneath is showing through. Oh my goodness, gravy. Look at that. We're just gonna have to, man, those dark colors, they're transparent. I don't like having to do this. I don't like having to go over and over a spot. Oh my gosh, this is so frustrating. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I am using a little bit of water to mix the paint, but it's not a lot. It's just enough to get it creamy. So now it is drying. Yeah, it's just drying. Oh wow. It's drying at the speed of regular acrylic. We are done, and here is the final verdict. If you're alright with transparent paint, if you like painting with a lot of layers, I think you would love these. The work time is great. They feel nice. They feel like regular acrylics, and I would say go for it. If you want something that's opaque, you don't like doing a lot of layers, then I would say just use regular acrylic and get a paint retarder to slow down that work time, because once you start mixing just regular heavy body in, it's drying as fast as acrylic for me. So I think it's a really cool idea. It just has a specific application that isn't the way that I paint. But I can see some people really liking them, especially for something like plein air. Give them a try if you think they might be something that you want to use, and you can mix them with regular acrylics, so if you try some and you don't like them, it's okay, you can still use them up. Thank you so much for joining me in this experiment, and I will see you later.